Hello out there, board game fans. It's me, Undead Viking, here with another one of my video reviews. Thank you for joining me today. The game that I will be reviewing, as you probably know, is a game called Outpost. This is the 20th Anniversary Deluxe Edition. It's a Deluxe Edition because it comes with a little expansion, and I'll explain that as well as the rest of the game as I go through this review. But this is a game, as you can probably guess, that came out, obviously, 20 years ago. And just segueing here just a tiny little bit, games, especially board games and other stuff as well. I mean, obviously things go out of print, or they just don't make things anymore. And it seems like board games do that a lot. And then fans eagerly await reprints of said games to come out so they can play them again. And since I kind of got into the board gaming hobby a little later than most, when I got into it, I always heard about these older games. Excuse me, I have a bit of a cold. They always talk about them in rather glowing terms. And, for the most part, I think that, the games that get reprinted after they've gone out of print usually are good. But I always wonder, just like how good are they? I mean, people talk about how they're so excellent and whatever. And in a few cases, for some out-of-print games that I've got all excited about, and then they've been reprinted after they've been, long since gone for a decade or so, I get the game and they're fun, but they seem a bit dated, and mechanics and and the gameplay just don't seem to hold up very well. And you realize that 15, 20 years ago or 10 years ago or whatever, when the game came out, it probably was extremely innovative. But now the games have taken the ideas that those old board games had, and then they built off of those, and they became bigger and better and what have you. And so, I always question, and I always worry just slightly about the fact that maybe possibly the game that that's coming out might not be as good as it was. I mean, it's as good as it was, but in comparison now, it no longer is. And that's why a lot of times when reprints come out, they mess with it a little. They change it up. They alter a few rules or whatever and try to like modernize things. And then of course you have like the old school fans of the game who decry the changes and say, oh, why did you change it? And then the people that didn't know any better, they play the game and they say this is awesome, and they have no idea what their preceding game was before. So, it's always kind of a mixed bag, and whenever anything gets reprinted, I always, when I do reviews of those games, I always just kind of want to tell the viewer, this is based on the game that I have right now, and it isn't based at all upon the game that came out before. As a matter of fact, I never even played the prior game, and from what I understand, this is pretty exact, pretty dead on as far as the original. This is by Stronghold Games, and Stronghold Games is very good about coming out with games that are true to their past versions of themselves. I mean, like Survive, a game that they had, excellent reprint of an old classic. And that's one of my favorite games. I love playing it. I love playing Survive. So the nuts and bolts of Outpost, you can play up to 9 people. Seriously, 9 people. I mean, that's what back then. I mean, games supported that number of people because they were kind of like seen, instead of like seeing as like a kind of a close knit sit at a table and like 2, 3, 4 of you have a, for lack of a better term, intimate experience. Games were kind of wide-ranging, huge affairs back in the day, and it's it's neither good nor bad. It's just different, right? But the game, it says on the back of the box, it'll tell you 25 minutes per player. That's fairly accurate. I think it tops out. If you're going to be playing with 9 people, I don't think it takes you 4 hours to play the game. It just doesn't take that long. I did try to play a game with 9, and it was fun. But I mean, most of the time, this review is going to be based on the fact that I played this game mostly with 4 or 5 people. So I'm going to show you how you play Outpost. It's a really, really simple game. It's really easy to grasp. That won't take me very long. And then I'll tell you exactly what I think. All right? All right, let's do this.
All right, the first thing I wanted to show you, show you how to play Outpost, is I wanted to show you one of these little player aids that each person gets. And you get, obviously, a bunch of them. One for up to 9 people playing. But basically this tracks all the necessary information that you need while you play the game, and also gives you some stuff that you need to know always. The sequence of play is over here to tell you how to go. This has the era triggers. Certain cards come available when certain eras are triggered during the game, and I'll explain that with the cards. Down here, it explains the values of the production cards that you'll be drawing. Also, something I'll explain very shortly. But I just wanted to make sure that the VP tracker, pretty obvious. You just move this up and down as you gain or lose victory points. You very rarely lose victory points, but you can. And this is the hand management. This tells you how many cards you can have in your hand at any one time. You'll notice that the marker, if you can see that, says plus 10 on it. I don't think you can actually see. There you go, plus 10. And so that's at 0 to start off, so meaning you can have 10 cards in your hand. And this is your colony limit. This is the number of people that you can have in your colony, and this just has, obviously, just nothing on there. Whoever on the back, it has a plus 10, so you can flip that over if you can have. But that starts out at 5. You can have up to 5 people in your colony, so you basically have 5 workers, so you can run 5 factories right away. But I just wanted to show that to you, just so you can kind of see this is what you'll have in front of you the entire time. And like I said, down here, this one tells you how much the average of your production cards are when you draw them, like what they'll be valued, so you can see, like, and I know this doesn't mean anything to you right now, but the bottom level, the lowest level factory, the average card value is around 3, but you can see, like, the top level factory, the average card value is 50. So you can see it kind of exponentially increases as the game goes on. Alright, well, that's just that. I just want to show that to you so you know what you'll be looking at while you play the game. And now I'm going to show you actually some of the turn sequence and what exactly you do. Alright, let's do that. Okay, these multicolored cards here and these little cardboard chits that kind of match up with each one. These are the different production cards and the different factories that create those production cards. Basically, in order to collect one of these cards as income, and you use these cards as basically the money in the game, you have to have a factory, one of these little cardboard chits, that is currently being worked by either one of your colonists or one of your robots. To begin the game, each person gets 2 ore and 1 water factory. And each side of these chits, you can notice one side, you can see that that's how much money it costs. So 20, 10, and 10. So if you wanted to buy another factory of this type, that's how much you'd have to spend to buy one. And on the other side, you can see that there's the factory. There's a little symbol there that says this can be worked and has to be worked by a human or a robot. And it costs, that little 1 there on each one tells you how many victory points that factory is worth for having. So each person starts at these, so you start with 3 victory points, which is, well, cool or whatever. Workers, you have to pay for as well, because you have to either hire them or make robots. They have either, notice they cost 10. This is the colonist side, and on the reverse side is the robot side. Now you might say, well, why do I need robots or whatever? But say you'll put a worker on the factory. You remember what I showed you on that player card you have in front of you? It has a colonist limit, and so you can only have 5 of these guys to start with. And if you don't increase that, you're kind of stuck because it can only work 5 factories. However, there is a technology that allows you to get robots, and that actually you can have as many robots as you have colonists. So if you have 5 colonists, you could have 5 robots as well. So they just work the factories, and you just keep these in front of you. You never sell these. The only thing that ever happens with these you may abandon them, basically. You'll abandon your low level production factories, basically because you get ones that are much better and give you better cards. But you never ditch them, you never sell them, you never destroy them or anything like that. Uh, as I said, each one of these little factories, if you have it and they're being worked, they will produce these cards. The interesting thing about the cards is they increase in value exponentially. So, here's an ore card, and you notice, oh, well, that's worth 1, But, if you, say, go up to the new chemicals, it's worth 20. And this is a random amount. It's never, here, I'll just grab a bunch of these new chemicals, and you can see that it isn't a static amount. So, it can be determined, just by random chance if you'll get, better or less results from your factories that you are working each and every turn. Now, there is one interesting thing. Some of the factories, such as water factories, titanium factories, and mega chemical factories, have these things where you can choose to take these new chemicals. This is mega new chemicals. If you have 4 of these coming to you and you don't want to risk it, you can just take one of these instead of having 4 cards. Now this still counts as 4 cards towards your hand limit, so you got to make sure you take that into account. But you can see this is worth 88. So each one of them is worth 88. So like, you can kind of say, well, I just want to play it safe, and I want to take the 88 because I just, I think I need 88 at this particular turn for whatever I'm going to buy. But let's just say you took these 4 instead. We'll just see if my addition works real well. That'd be 38 plus 2 is 40, 60, and 76. So did I add that? Yeah, I did add that right. Oh, cool. I'm smart. Anyway, so you can see where, like, if you say, no, I'm going to risk it, and I'm going to take all 4 of these cards, and you're like, oh, man, I kind of screwed myself out of some extra money that turn. So, that's one of those risks you take. But, I mean, there's obviously cards in there that you could have more than 88, so you can see how that works as well. But that's when you get your income, basically, that's how that works. And now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you how exactly the turn works, and I'm going to show you those technology cards that I've referenced. And it should be noted that some of these, like microbiotics and so on and so forth, some of these productions, you can only get them once you achieve certain technologies. But I'll show that to you right now, actually. Okay. If Outpost was just a game that all you did was collect cards that had a random number on them, and then use those cards to buy more factories, and then collect more cards and buy more factories, and so on and so forth, the game would be pretty dull. And that's where these come in. These are the different technology upgrade cards that are available during the game. I've set them up in the different eras. These are the Era 1 cards, these are the Era 2, and these are the Era 3. Now, you get 6 of each card, and you aren't going to use all of them depending on how many players you have. If in a 9-player game, you're going to use all 6 cards, and descending wise, you'll use less of each. I mean, so you'll use every single technology card, but the number of them will not be available. Now, to determine what cards are available, especially when you start off the game, you get these dice, a 4-sided, a 12-sided, and an 8-sided. So there is a 10-sided, I should say, not an 8-sided. There is dice in the game, which is cool, but they aren't used for combat or anything, so sorry for anybody who's looking forward to blasting other people's space businesses out of the sky. But you use these to determine which of the colony upgrade cards will be available to bid on and to collect and use. So obviously at the very beginning of the game, only Era 1 cards are used, so you just roll a d4. And the number of times you roll is determined by like the number of players that are playing the game at that time. So if in a 5-player game, you would have, you roll this 5 times, and then you'd select those cards. Now, there's a couple of things about this that you have to know. You can't have more than half of the number of players rounded down of a single card available. So when you do that, when you're setting up the game. So if I rolled this and I kept rolling 4 over and over and over again, just rolling it over and over again, I got 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. We put those 4 cards available, but once I got to 4 of them, we couldn't use those anymore. So, but Now, the thing about that is that really makes the game cool is that a lot of these technologies are very, very important, and they're very, very useful. For example, this Era 2 technology. You can see it's called robots, and this is the card that allows you to, get robots that do work your factories, like I talked about earlier. Having both humans and robots allow you basically to have more factories. So you might be sitting around waiting for this to come up, but just because if you don't roll a 7, because once you get to Era 2, you'll use a 10-sided die. And once you get to Era 3, you use a 12-sided die. Now, there's 13, but when you roll the D12, you roll a D12 plus 1. The reason behind that is because you're probably not going to have any Era 1 cards left at that point, if any. But what I was talking about is that you might really want that particular technology to come out, but because of the luck of the die, it just hasn't shown up yet, and so you have to be constantly on your toes, changing strategies. So like another card that's very, very important, especially in a lot of situations, this Era 3 card, Heavy Equipment, and it's required to make titanium factories, and titanium is a very, very important early element, early card, production card to increase. And then plus there's all these cool discounts and stuff like that. And you'll notice that each one of these cards has a victory point that you get when you get the card as well. But now, and I should mention that the other side of these cards, it does have art, but you'll probably never really look at the art on the other side. Like here's here's the robot on the side, the other side of the robots. Just because the picture is cool and all, but it really doesn't matter, because what matters is the actual information. Now, I should also just, here, I'll grab this one. Here we have the nodule, and you can see there it's worth 2 victory points, and it's +3 colony support limit. Basically, that allows you to have more humans because you have +3 the colony support. Now, that immediately adjusts that scale on your player board. But you see this is 25 credits. That's the minimum bid that you have to place to try to claim this card. Now, it's just like an auto auction. When it's your turn, you just say, I'll bid 25 on nodule, and then somebody else says, I'll bid 26, and you go around the table. And just like a lot of other games, as soon as you decide to pass, you're out. So if there's 5 players and player 3 and 4 pass, they can't change their mind and get back into the bidding. And once you bid and you win the card, you immediately have to pay that with your resource cards. And like I said, you can't get change, so you got to make sure that you have to figure out if you have like a bunch of low numbers, like 3s and 2s and 4s, it's easier to make change. But if you have a bunch of high numbers, it's kind of tough. You're going to be jumping your bids around. But these are like I said, these are what makes the game fun. These are what makes the game interesting. And like I said, if this wasn't part of the game, it really wouldn't be a game. It would be rather dull, actually. And I love the fact that you roll the die to see what's available. And so, like, your best laid plans, can get kind of screwed up, and you got to be always on your toes and switching things up, and just hoping that things are available. Now, the one other thing about that is if, say, like all of these, like, the heavy equipments were gone, like they got used up, and you rolled a 3 on the so let's see if I can roll a 1, but let's say you rolled a 3, and this is available. You immediately go back to the earliest still available card for our technology. You don't re-roll. So if there is still something available over here, you just take that instead. And you can see that's why when you get to the point where you're rolling a d12 plus 1, there's literally no chance that the lower level things, and if you roll a 1 or whatever, there's almost no chance that the first one on the Arrow 1 is still going to be available. Now, the only other thing I should mention is that the Arrow 1 is available until somebody gets to 10 points. And as soon as somebody gets to 10 points, the Era 2 become available, and you start rolling the D10 to decide what's available. And then depending on the number of players, which varies greatly. With a 2-player game, I believe it's like 40 points, and with a 9-player game, I think it's 25. I don't have the rules in front of me offhand right now. But as soon as somebody reaches that second level of points, that's when the Era 3 become available. And then, of course, the game ends as soon as somebody gets to 75 points, and that's where the race is. Now, the only other thing I should mention as far as and the bidding goes, once the cards are taken, like if somebody bids on something, it's taken, then when the new round starts, that's when you roll and you replace the cards. And the cards never, if the cards are available, so like when you have cards, you just kind of put them up above everything up there, and those are the ones that are available for that particular round. When you have, so if like you have 6 cards available, and 4 of them got bid on and taken, you replace 4 of those cards. It's very simple. So the game actually flows very, very easily. Everybody has their hand of resources, that they've collected. A big hand of these, and then the first player will choose whatever card they wish to bid on, and then they'll bid on that, and then the bidding will go around, the auction will go around, and then it'll get done. Once they're done bidding, the first player will then purchase any factories they want to purchase and add those, and then finally they will purchase any colonists or robots that they want to use to put in that factory. And then it goes to the next person at the table, and then they choose a card to bid on, if anything, and so on and so forth. Now, the really, really good thing about the game is that once, a lot of times people won't want to bid on something, and they'll just literally say, I'm internalizing. And then what that means is that they've forfeited their chance to bid on anything for the rest of the round, but they can just go ahead and just buy their factories and buy their colonists and robots and just be done with it. And then, after all is said and done, after it's gone around the entire table, you get back to the first player. First player, everybody totals up their points that they made as far as with the new cards they've gotten and with the new factories and so forth. And if somebody's actually like changed an error or something like that, you make note of that. Or if you reach 75 points, you end the game. And if not, then whoever is in the first place as far as points goes, they get to be the first player the next round, then the person with the next highest points is the second player, and so on and so forth. And the reason for that is because it's actually very, kind of useful to go last, because you can kind of watch what everybody else is doing, and you can kind of react to it, and also you don't have to make your mind up as far as what you're going to bid on right away. So it has a little bit of a catch-up mechanism for the last player. But then after all is said and done, and then you just repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat, and like I said, and you just play until you get to the 75 points. And the main, and it's just a really fun game. But I'll talk more about that when I get to my conclusion. But I'm going to show you the expansion cards really quick, and then I'm going to tell you exactly what I think of the game. All right, let's do that. Okay, any good game hopefully comes with an expansion that doesn't muddy up the rules too much, but just adds the little spice to the game to make it that much better. These are the kicker cards. This is an expansion that was designed by Tom Lehman of Race for the Galaxy fame. And once, as far as I'm concerned, once I played Outpost a few times, it wasn't that the game lacked anything. It was really exciting, but I added this to the game, and it added so much that we've never played it without it again. So you have, just like before, the 3 different eras. You have Era 1 cards, you have Era 2 cards, and you have Era 3 cards. And these are put out just like the other colony technology upgrade cards that you roll the dice for and you bid on. And you bid on these as well. You shuffle these up, and you shuffle them up, and you separate them in areas. Now the one thing is you don't roll a die for these to show up. After you shuffle up, if you're in Era 1, depending on the number of players, you draw a certain number. With more players, you draw more. So like with 9 players, you draw 3. I think it's 4 to 6, you draw 2. And with 2 or 3 or 2 to 4, maybe you draw 1. But you draw 1, and you just place this card with the rest of them, and it's just available to bid. And so like this one, it's just like robot prototype. Provides 1 free robot counter. Now, you're thinking, okay, well, what's the big deal with that? Well, see, it's super cheap. It costs less than the other robot, and it gives you a robot counter, and then you just get to use it. Now, you might not have the robot technology, but it's a robot prototype, so you have an extra robot that is just working for you. It's things like that. It's little nuances and changes like that just add to the game and make the game a little bit more fun. Wily Trader. Trade a player an ore, water, or titanium card for a higher valued card of the same type. So you can actually have some interaction with this. And so I really like the fact that the game, Outpost is a game of maximization and efficiency, and maybe a little bit of press your luck as far as what cards you pick and so on and so forth. But for the most part, you kind of play by yourself and you're just trying to do better than everybody else. But these cards add wrinkles and add fun and add excitement to the game, and just it, like I said, it adds so much more to it. And the way you use these, what's really cool is that these are replaced as they're purchased, just like anything else. And once you use them all up, they're just gone. Or if you leave Era 1 and there's still cards available but they weren't used, you just toss them away and they don't get used. And so then you go to the Era 2 cards, and once again, if you get past Era 2 and Era 3 and there's still cards of these left, then you go to the Era 3 cards. So I would strongly suggest, like I said, after you've played Outpost, even just one time, I guess, honestly, I think you can do it, but just add these cards. It's really cool they included them, and I think that, like I said, the game is made so much better with the inclusion of these cool cards. But anyway, let me just now finish this up, and I'll tell you exactly what I think of Outpost. Let's do that.
All right, I know we're not supposed to really. I don't really care about cover art, but a nice box cover is better than just a blank white frame with a name on it. But okay, so you have workers and robots that can work your factories, right? So I'm assuming that this is a worker and this is a robot. So am I really supposed to believe that this dude can work just as hard as this robot here? I don't know. But it's a cool picture, and nonetheless. Kind of old school, but not. I don't know. What is that? What is the word for that? Postmodern? I have no idea. Anyway. Alright. What did you think about how you play the game? It's really straightforward. It's exactly as I showed you. You have some bidding that goes on, and a lot of times people won't bid on anything just because they're building up their factories and then populating those factories with people and getting their little engine done. Do I like the game? Yes, I do. I actually like it quite a bit. I like the fact that it looks really complex, but it isn't. A lot of the people in my group all mentioned that. From the very beginning, I was like, all right, let's play this game. I put it down. They're like, oh my god, look at all those chits, look at all those pieces. And, getting them to play was a bit of a hold them down kind of thing. But it was one of those games that after you play a couple of rounds, it just slides by, and you're just and you're just going through each and everything. It's a game that it's the kind of game that I like just because I mentioned this in tons of reviews, but simple but deep. The mechanisms of the game are very there aren't a lot of them. They just lots of games out there have tons of if then this and if that then and you gotta always be on your toes as far as little minuscule rules go. But games like this, they just don't have much. It's just do this, do that. Buy a factory, draw your cards, repeat. Lather, rinse, repeat. And it's just you do that over and over again. It's just a lot of fun. I mean, it's a lot of fun. I like auction games. I like that whole bidding aspect. Don't screw yourself a little bit, because as I said in the rules, that you don't get to make change with those cards. So a lot of times I'd make a bid and then I'd realize that I should have and then somebody bids above me, and I realized that I should have just bid higher anyway, to the level that other person bid, because my cards were forcing me to bid to that amount anyway. Does that make sense? So let's say I had a card with a 10, a 9, and a 7. So I have a total of 26. And then I'll bid 24. And it's just well, I can't make 24. I should have just bid 26. And the other person then says, okay, I'll bid 26. And all of a sudden I'm like, I can't bid any higher, and he probably can't either, but if I just bid 26, I would have got it. It's things like that. So you always got to kind of be on your toes. And it can be a little bit of a mathy game. So if you don't really like a lot of math, but it's only addition, So I mean, even me, I can figure it out. So if I can figure it out, then anybody else can. not a lot of player interaction, so if you're looking for a situation where you're really butting heads and stuff like that, and like going toe to toe with somebody, this isn't that. This is just all about building your personal victory point engine and trying to make it more efficient than the other person. The nice thing about the game is that it's very easy to learn. So like if all of your group kind of learns it right away, you're all going to kind of be at the same curve as the game goes by, and so you're going to have really close games, and you're going to have very very down to the wire type finishes, which are always really cool and really fun. I mean, I hate runaway leader games when it's just like, oh god, I got 3 more turns of this game and there's just no way I can win. I mean, I like it when you're all just right around the same amount. Now that being said, this is one of those games that just when it starts to get interesting, it's over. And if you're like, other games like that are like that too, like Race for the Galaxy, things like that. It's like, once you start off and you're just chugging along and you barely have any options and you want to purchase this and you want to do that and you just have no money, and as soon as you start like raking in the cash, bam, somebody hits 75 points and the game is over. But that's by design. Because what's the point in playing a game that's like, oh, okay, well everybody's doing really well with money and we're just all basically just churning up the points right now, and then we're playing to 150. It's better that efficiency is the goal from the very beginning, and with a little bit of luck too, with the cards you draw. And so you want to have that efficient engine right away, and you want to make the best possible choice for all your technology upgrades and so on and so forth. And it's a challenging game, because you can't guarantee when certain technologies are going to come out. You can't plan ahead like that, if you will. So I mean, and a lot of times you'll want a certain technology or whatever, but it just won't ever come up for you, just because of the way the cards get drawn and also the way way your money flows. So it's just a really good game. It's like, and the more we played it, the more we had fun, and the more we delved into the inner workings of it, the more enjoyable it got. So I do recommend Outpost for people that kind of like auction games, engine building games, and also just they're not going to care too much about the level of play interaction. I would strongly suggest after you get a grasp of the base game, add those kicker cards, the little expansion this because it adds to the game a lot. The more options you have, the more fun it is to kind of play with the things that you're going to do. So, as always, thank you very much for tuning in. Outpost from Stronghold Games. And if you have any questions or comments or concerns, just post them and I'll try to get them as soon as I possibly can. Just another completely random news. Myself and Joel, Eddie, and Marco, 2 other board game reviewers, are now doing a podcast called it's called Wooden Cubes and Iron Soldiers, and that's at 2d6.org, and that'll be a bi-weekly thing. So I encourage you to go to our website, 2d6.org, and check that out, and let us know what you think. And other than that, thank you very much. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this, and I'll see you at the next video. You have a great day. Bye.